Welcome back to the Fronczak Files. I'm Paul Jack Fronczak.
And I'm Tracey Hastings.
So Tracey, today we're just going to do a couple of quick little, we get asked a lot of questions over and over again. So we thought that we would tackle one or two of them right now, just short and brief, and just kind of help listeners understand how we got to certain points. How's that?
Yeah, sounds like a great idea. We've seen a lot of questions from our viewers, and a lot of them tend to be repeated. People have the same questions, and so there's a lot of topics that we don't have any additional information to give you, unfortunately. So we won't repeat those words of saying we don't know. That's frustrating for our listeners as well as us. But we thought maybe we would come forward with some of the things that we do know that maybe we didn't reveal during the season, or that we want to just sort of shine a light on to little details.
And actually, at the Fronczak Files, we say we don't know yet.
But we get it. That's frustrating, right? To constantly be hearing we don't know yet. We're also frustrated by that. So let's talk about some things that we do know.
Okay, so what's one of the questions we get asked the most?
So for this short, for today, we're going to talk about the paternity of Jack and Jill Rosenthal. This is a question that has been raised multiple times with our listeners, wanting to know, do we know for sure that you and Jill are the biological children of Gilbert Rosenthal? The theory being that that he was unable to attach to you as his children, wanted you gone because he suspected that you might not be biologically his.
Right. So first of all, let me just preface that with 100% yes, we know for a fact that Jack Thomas Rosenthal. How do we know, Tracey?
Well, we know through genetic genealogy and research that we can definitively say that you are the biological child of Gilbert Rosenthal.
And who do we test to prove that?
So we tested a woman we won't name for her privacy, but she is a daughter of Leonard Rosenthal. And as we know, Leonard Rosenthal is the brother of Gilbert Rosenthal.
Also my uncle.
So Leonard is your paternal uncle. And when this woman tested, you and she matched as first cousins. So just to give a little bit of DNA background for our listeners, when you're doing genetic genealogy, typically what we're able to do is narrow down to a family. So we take someone's DNA, we analyze the matches, we build out a tree, and if we're looking for a man, typically that's who we're looking for is as a male, we're going to be able to say this male is in this family. If there's only one male, then there's our answer. That it's rarely that simple. There's typically more than one male in the family. And at that point, we have to pause because we're going to need more specific DNA to be able to help us determine which male is the male we're looking for. So if your cousin had not tested, the best we could have done at that point was to say, we can isolate this family. We can isolate these two brothers as potentially one or the other being the biological father. That would be as far as we could go. But because the daughter of Leonard tested and you two matched as first cousins, the only other possibility was that Leonard would be your biological father. And we know that can't be true because you and his daughter matched as first cousins, not as half siblings.
Exactly.
And so that can be confusing. It's genealogy and genetics are two confusing topics. And when you marry them to one another, it gets even more confusing.
Right. That's why we research things as thoroughly as we do, and we don't speculate. We use facts.
And that does not mean that Gilbert, it's certainly possible. We can't get into his head, obviously. He might have had his own reasons maybe for thinking that Marie was cheating on him and the twins might not be his. We don't know that.
But we don't, it could be Marie, the one that wanted the twins gone.
And we don't definitely, we don't know that either necessarily whose idea this was for the twins to disappear. Was this a mutual decision? Was this one parent or the other? Was this one parent instructing the other? Was this one of them was the mastermind? We don't have any information on that. But what we can definitively say is that we know you are the biological child of Gilbert Rosenthal. What Gilbert thought about that, we have no idea.
Yeah.
But those are the facts that support your paternity.
Right. We have no idea because we're still
And that frustrates us as well. We want the answers too. But because you also have family members who aren't willing to talk, we can't really get a good feel for what was happening at that time. There was people that, this was not a family people were close to. So for us to be able to get a feel for what kind of discord might have been going on in the marriage at the time, was there suspicion of infidelity on either side? Nobody's going to be able to give us that information. Even if they knew it, I don't think that they would tell us. And the odds are good no one really had that kind of insight into your family.
Yeah, I'm sure someone does, but they're probably not talking.
They're not talking about it. And so taking this information and giving that to our listeners, that we can definitively say that you are the biological child of Gilbert Rosenthal. But again, it doesn't tell us anything about what Gilbert was thinking about the whole arrangement. We can't say. We just don't know.
Yet. Okay, and is there another question that we get quite a bit?
Yes. So one of the other questions that we have seen on several occasions is in connection with the first child that Marie Duncan gave birth to in July of 1958. What we know through a family connection of yours who provided us with a birth certificate. Do you have any information about receiving that birth certificate, about how the birth certificate was recovered, who had it?
Yes. So I was able to meet a cousin, second or third cousin, I believe he's third cousin, during this journey. And he had told me that he was going through his grandmother's things because I guess she had passed away. And they came across this birth certificate. And he gave me a copy of it. And the mother listed was my mom, Marie Duncan. So we thought that was pretty big news because on my older sister's birth certificates and even on Jack and Jill's, there were no previous children above my older sister's. So that child was born and just never listed as being, being claimed by Marie. And we get asked a lot about the connection between the person that raised that child and my mom's mom. You want to clarify that, Trace?
Yeah, we've had a couple of questions about about those connections and how what happened to this child. A lot of our listeners have suggested to us, which we have previously done, was to see if there was any connection between where this son was placed and the potential that if Jill may have been sent to Ohio, as people had testified that they have heard those rumors, that one of the twins was sent to either New York or to Newark, and the other one was sent to Ohio. Was there a connection between one of the twins going to Ohio and where this first baby may have been placed in Ohio? We're unable to make any of those connections between the first child born to Marie and Jill. Those connections, we have not made them yet. I will emphasize the yet. However, we can make a connection between Marie's mother, Jenny, and the woman that raised Marie's firstborn son. And the connection that we can make is that when Jenny Duncan passed away, so your maternal grandmother, when she passed away, in her obituary, it was listed that she had worked as a nursing technician at Akron General Hospital. Pretty benign. People list their occupations, what they did for a living in obituaries. That's a pretty standard piece of information. What makes this interesting is that we were able to take that little piece of information, which seems pretty benign, right? Doesn't seem like it means anything. But when you put that together with a newspaper article, which we found in September of 1957 in Akron, Ohio, there was a newspaper article discussing a class of nurses who had been trained at Akron General Hospital and who had graduated as nurses.
And who was on that list?
One of the graduating nurses was the woman that raised Marie Duncan's first son. And her graduation happened in September of 1957, and Marie's son was born in July of 1958. So the time lines up where these two women, it's possible and it's probable that they knew one another based on their close proximity to working with each other. as a nurse, I can tell you that nursing technicians and nurses intermingle all the time. So some people might say, well, Jenny was a nursing tech and the adopted mother was a nurse. So how would those two people have interacted with one another? Well, these two roles work in conjunction with each other. The nursing tech is the nurse's right-hand person, helping them manage patient care, answering call lights, changing linens, doing those type of jobs that the RN might not have time to do. And so these, and having worked with technicians my whole career, you can get very close to these people. You spend a lot of time with them and you work closely together. So you can establish information about each other's lives. And it's entirely possible that there was a discussion about, there's this baby coming and we need an arrangement here. And hey, we're looking to adopt a baby. And we can surmise what conversations might have happened, but we can make a connection between these two women. And another interesting point is that the baby, the firstborn son, was actually born at St. Thomas Hospital, which is about 2.5 miles from Akron General. So I found it interesting that the choice wasn't made for your mother to deliver this baby at Akron General, where her own mother already worked, but to deliver at a hospital down the street, most likely to have some anonymity, would be my guess.
Possibly because the shame factor, maybe,
Yeah.
or not wanting certain people to know.
Yeah.
Especially
we're
at
still
your
talking.
workplace.
Absolutely. We're talking a conservative time here. So an unwed mother giving birth, this happened. The hospitals saw this quite frequently. Society did not. But on the hospital side of things, women coming in without a husband or a father of the child, this is common. This happened a lot, but it was not known widely to family, friends, et cetera, because it was shameful. So definitely, the shame attached to it. It might have been, well, I don't want you delivering at the hospital where I work. I don't want, and especially as well, if there might have been an arrangement between these two women who worked together at this hospital to place this baby. This would have looked a little too suspicious, right? That Jenny's daughter comes in to have this baby, and all of a sudden, this nurse has a baby, and
Right.
the
It
staff
could
has
be
seen this child,
like
so
payoff, some kind of black market thing, something.
it's hard to say.
Yeah.
But we can probably say with some certainty something shady probably happened here.
Yeah. Yeah. You just said something that really made me think. So a nurse tech, part of their job is folding linens.
Yeah. At that time, not anymore.
Okay,
They don't do that now.
So when Paul was kidnapped by the fake nurse, she was seen around the hospital prior to taking Paul folding linens. So maybe she was a nurse tech at some point, and she remembered that as part of her job. And she was trying to kill time there, so she just did what she knew.
Yeah. Because that was a nursing tech's job to
I
fold
didn't know
linens, make sure all of the rooms were stocked with what they needed, what the nurse was going to need to take care of the patient. So it's entirely possible.
Yeah, I wonder if, when they said they were checking out all the RNs, did they check techs?
The techs, right?
Probably not. Because she had a nurse's outfit and she knew the protocol of folding towels. I mean, I have a hard time folding towels correctly. This person knew how to fold them in a hospital.
Right. But also that was something that was brought up as unusual, right? We remember, this is sort of getting off topic a little bit, but we know that it was brought up that it was unusual, that people noticed there was a nurse folding linens, right? We did have a report of one of the another employee on the floor who said, I saw her folding linens and nurses don't do that. And I thought that was strange that she was doing that. So it's entirely possible she was reverting back to a behavior that she knew as a way to look busy, to look inconspicuous, without realizing she was looking very conspicuous because she was doing something nurses don't do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we just solved
it. Okay, there it is. That's it.
Right.
Sweet.
All right. Fronczak Files win. Wow.
Okay. A little bit of a tangent there, but an interesting one, right?
A whole different direction.
For sure. How we're learning from one scenario, one aspect of your story, maybe something it applies over here too. And we could take that information and it to tell something about another part of your story.
Well, we know that there are no coincidences.
For sure.
Yeah, there's no accidents. Everything happens for a reason.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That is a fact.
All right.
So So we hope that our listeners have enjoyed this little short that we're going to drop in here while we're on our hiatus from between season 1 and 2. Although, are we really on hiatus?
I was going to say, you keep saying hiatus. I'm working harder now than I've ever had.
Right?
During the season.
Right? But we're trying to do this a different technique, a different way, right? We're not going to try to shoot the season while we're in the season, which is what we did through season 1. We're trying to shoot the season while we're on hiatus. So, because one of the great things that's happening to us is that we are finding ourselves in sort of demand for interviews and appearances. And so we're trying to get our season 2 recorded and ready for our listeners to free up some time for us to be able to do all the other things that are happening to us.
Sounds good. I like that. All right. This was good. I
Yeah.
like this little quick episode. Any final thoughts?
I feel good about this one. I think that we were able to provide some information that maybe people didn't know before, which I know our listeners love. And being close to the story, we sometimes can skim over some stuff. And we love the fact that they want to know everything.
We love your questions. Never stop. Right?
Keep
If you're
searching.
listening and something sparks a question in your mind, shoot it out to us and we'll get back to you, hopefully. And maybe we'll do another short. We get more questions coming.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Once again,
Jack.
thanks for tuning in to the Fronczak Files. I'm your host, Paul Fronczak.
And I'm Tracey Hastings. We will see you guys on October 28th when we drop our season premiere, season 2. Hard to believe. We're already in season 2.
We're still on hiatus.
Yes. Working harder than we ever have.
Okay.
All right.
All right. See you next time.
All right. Thanks.